Brand business, economies, governments, corporations. Why do they need energetic frameworks? Why? Like, why does it need to be an energetic framework? Because it has more pull, push. Depends on what you're looking for. Attractiveness. When people make decisions, the more powerful people that make decisions in this world make them based on deeper levels of life. They make them based on what makes their soul happy, right? Where can you live in a land where your soul is actually happy and you can feel good in yourself and then go about the job description that you've created in your life? So I'm going to give you a great example of this. How many lawyers, how many women, it's mostly women because mostly women have decided they're just like, they're tired of the lives that they've had and the pressures that have been put on them. Men usually go traveling for different reasons. It's not usually because they feel totally irritated at the core. Now, this is really important. My Western world nations, so my UK, Scottish, Parisian, Canada, United States, all of these countries, there is an increasingly larger amount of women who have built themselves in your systems because you created good systems to build, but you did not create great systems to maintain a wealthy life. You made great systems to maintain economy and industry, and you squeeze the very core of a soul in a human being. It's unbearable for some. I know for me specifically, it made me very unwell. So there's a lot of women that just have what they call it, I think it's called MS, or just low energy and all of these things. It's because the way the government has their energetic systems plugged into on deeper levels. It affects men differently than it affects women. So what happens now is they're plugged into these deeper systems, right? And they're taking or affecting, I guess is a better way of saying it. They have frequencies that are like lasers, okay? And these frequencies are the expectation of this. Now, a woman is so sensitive that she's tuned into these things. The more that she desires to have a good life for herself, the more that she desires to have high amounts of wealth, she literally can't have it in your systems and feel relaxed in her goodness of her feminine unless she's with a male. If she is married, then the male actually blocks that portion that is an expectation that is totally fine for him. For him to have this very same frequency, it's a drive for him to become better. But it doesn't work that way in females. Female bodies, not somebody who became female. An actual female soul, a female body. It changes how we output. And it doesn't give us relaxation. The only reason that I'm okay is because ENYELAH system goes deeper than these governments. Now, not everybody in the whole world is going to be able to say, you know what? This is, oh wow. This is something that I recognize. So they're just going to not have that great feeling. But eventually a lot of people do. I even saw a video just a few days ago, and it's happening more and more. Somebody left the US for sometime, and they just went to Japan for a vacation, and but they were integrating in normal life because I think their daughter had lived there, so they were doing like normal everyday things. And this mother saw this daughter living here, and they were just, she was in awe. She was in culture shock. The fact that she could actually be this relaxed, and it is a whole new life for her. So this is where a lot of women are waking up to this. And it's not so much about you need to worry about people moving away from your country government. So I'm going to get to my business and corporations in a minute and how important this is because you're not allowing women to function at the abilities that they can function and feel happy and feel good. Now, if you're not going to change it, then you're not going to change it. That's fine. You know, every government has the agency to do what they want, but long term, nobody's going to want to incarnate into your country. And you know, there's a very huge value that you place on having people continue to come to your country. So if you think that everything is only surface alone, you're not high enough in the government. You need to remember and know that the energetics of your country is what runs your country, right? So if you're having people that are irritated at the very essence of your country, it's going to show up everywhere online. And this is why you can see a lot of details about the states online. They have so many people that are pulling out all kinds of different what do you call it when you know, they share one piece of information but people talk about it in another format, you know, conspiracies, right? And it's because these things are true, and so it confuses people, doesn't give people trust. If you understand even just how Canada works, there's a deeper trust that they build by holding a higher standard with their people. And this is starting to break down because they're starting to pair with things with the States versus going to what it was originally made by, which is the UK government. It's like a baby of that one. The reason the UK was so powerful and why they were able to maintain at the time the reach that they had is because they have a strong foundation on how things are set. There's no we're switching things out and changing things over and flipping this and that. There's a slow change. It very much resembles the monarch. The monarch is the energetic foundation. That's why the monarch should always actually have all the say, and the government needs to have the secondary say because they're meant to uphold what the monarch is. So this is true energetics. This is why you need to have someone who understands and knows the energy like a monarch does. I know because I understand it, and I have gone deeper than even what a monarch does because of who I am and what I've had to do literally to just be okay, because this is my purpose in this world. So I need everyone to understand, government-wise, what you put in place and you hold strong and nobody can move it no matter how much money they have, then that becomes a actual law within your country. Now, different types of countries will use different types of energy, which is more powerful and so forth. There's a lot of different types of things. That I've explained in other videos. So for governments, no, you need to know what is irritating people on deeper levels that they can't see, but it is actually manifesting in every single one in your country. That is hugely valuable information. And the thing is, this is why the UK has done better than anyone, because the monarch is actually listening to that. Now, that kind of went away a while ago when the lady who was in charge, because I'm not saying certain words, there's really important that I maintain this, that she she is definitely still alive. Okay, so moving on from that, because we're not going to touch on that. But I know from my expertise, who I am, that the energy, and I'm not, and I didn't tell you at what capacity that woman is still alive. So you can think anything on the spectrum. I've given you zero information. So understand something. This is energy. This is physicality. Everything comes through. Okay? So your brand, your government, your corporation, if it's not built here, people who are living here and make decisions from here, you not there. There's different levels. That's why certain nations were in charge of other nations, because they have that oof to them. You have to build right. This is where most of the nations in the world need to start to understand something. You need to build right. That means integrity is your most important. If you have 3 things in your government that are non-negotiables, you are more powerful than somebody who has a whole book of stuff and doesn't have one thing that they stick on. There's a lot of nations that are like that because they have so many people puppet stringing them. They're not even on the board anymore. Okay. So that was government. Corporations. You need to understand something very valuable. Your ability to move and go through everything dictates on where you blossom from. Are you blossoming from the country? Then that's it, from the country up. Or did you decide to blossom yourself from the country, from your soul? Because your soul needs a home, you know. That's why ENYELAH system is so potent. Because it's a home, it's a whole country, it's a whole nation, it's a whole international agency that governs other international agencies. That's the level of authority when people choose to come to it. But that's where it stands. So anybody who's attracted to me, understand, I move through all of it. So where I stand in ENYELAH system, you bypass energetically, you bypass any of the other stuff, because here your soul is required, and I build with you. I build a whole aspect inside ENYELAH system. It's an environment, just like the country you were born in created a soul environment for your soul to hang out in. ENYELAH system takes you out of that country and puts you in ENYELAH system so that you can build a corporation based upon your own soul. You build it in ENYELAH system, so it has to work with my laws and systems. which are so integrity. I redefined integrity. My words are clean, clear, and power itself. So, when you build yourself in the energy, people on the surface are just naturally attracted to you. If you are born in any one of the first world countries, you have agency over the other countries just by where your soul was born. I know that I plucked myself out of that when I lived in Jamaica because nobody knew and I had no agency over them. I went to the level of being Jamaican to experience what that was like. And I had to create a ENYELAH system from what standpoint I was in there. That changed the way your brain works, you know, which is why I am where I am. Because my brain would not work like this if I was born and raised in that country, in the first world country. It's literally not even available to think like that. I experienced the low of the low of the low. I had to go there in order to create there, right? Then I went deeper and created deeper. Because I knew what energies were coming. Because why? I created the energies that were coming. And because some of them were just bestowed upon us. And I was like, oh, okay. So CERN decided to open up a whole thing and bring those energies to Earth so that all humans could like get used to it. I was like, oh, big middle finger to you guys. This stuff is not just painful and like... So I went through it and then I went more because we gotta stabilize human life. Right? Not everyone thinks like that, but I do. We mentally have to be able to manage and maintain these things. So there has to be levels built. So as soon as they turn that thing back on again, yo, every nation in this whole world is going to crumble except the ENYELAH system. Yeah. Yeah, it opens up places that haven't been built, and you have it. Like life comes from somewhere, you know. All of this comes from somewhere. Yeah, scientists like they need to understand certain things. They're just like, oh well, let's just play with this. Not a good idea, guys. It's really not a good idea. They're playing in the places that have been solidified for however long as the standard, and now a lot of those things are very like shaky in a lot of the countries. A lot of things are just been shaken up. I went far deeper than what they've even exposed to us because they showed me the direction. It was easy. But I also knew the other direction because of the being that I am. I just went deeper in myself. That was crazy, because things that don't exist on Earth and I'm in them making stuff. That was. Anyways, I've built stuff in all of those places, all the way up to the human level. And now I've been building in the human level, in the material. So this is not just like iceberg. This is like, there's like a tiny piece showing of my life, of what I am on my paperwork. And there's literally an energetic thing that goes further than anyone could ever measure. So ENYELAH system is really what is holding humanity at this point, to be real with you. Because so much of it is so shaky all over the place. Everyone's just like tuned into here because this is the one solid thing that is happening under Earth right now. I know that I have had to build myself this way, and trust me, my human has felt it. Oh gosh, I really have. Anyways, so when you're building yourself, you're building your brand, whatever place your brand is solidified. Is it solidified in the country, and then your brand comes up from the country? It will depend on how firm that country is. If you want a big bad brand, you need to be solidified. Your brand has to be like registered and solidified in one of the top 5 countries in the world, because they hold certain frequencies that just, they have integrity. They're there, they're present. People go, yeah, I can trust that. If it's somewhere else in the world and that's where it's founded, you literally are not getting that robust foundation. If you're built in ENYELAH system, you're going to have to do the building yourself, but yes, you'll own all the pieces of it. Nobody else is going to tell you that you need to do this, that, and the other thing. Now, obviously, if you live in the specific country that you live in and they're asking for a 15% tax, you know, that's something that you'll have to do until you can figure out, until the world changes and does what it does. You will have to, you know, pay there because you're physically there, but you're energetically rooted in ENYELAH system. So this is really, really important that you understand where you're rooted, right? And that also means, you know, the stuff that you've signed and the place that you were birthed, all of that stuff is energetically not sound anymore, because when you come into ENYELAH system, that stuff overtakes and replaces that. So there's a whole thing, and I'll talk to you about that when you come and have a conversation with me, because the people that want this, you need robustness in order to move through the international markets, and you also need the robustness to not have the country holding your gonads or holding your ovaries and doing this to it, right? That's really important that you understand that. You know, women are actually secure in ENYELAH system, which means being developed for the more sensitive of the species. The men are just cool here because they're not that sensitive. They're just not built that way, right? So to be here is to own that sensitivity and then to build within it. To build here, you have it with you from every lifetime. So anytime you pop into a new lifetime, you're already that being. Very, very important that you own these things and you own these energies. So for you, it'll be just like getting on the bike and riding again. As soon as you get to an age where you can understand mathematics, you're like, okay, you build businesses when you're going through high school. It just comes easy to you because you built it. And you built it in a system that you can incarnate in any race, because this is not built on race. This is not built on bloodlines. This is not built on, gender alone. You can be any gender. You can learn to really understand the aspects of being the different genders and what is the benefits, and it gives you more abilities. but it also is rooted in the fact that when you choose a gender to incarnate in, you are that gender. So if you feel your incarnations where you were a different gender, you chose to be this one, so you gotta stick with it, and you gotta stick with it to have your power. So that's the thing that you'll have to overcome as well. If you chose to be feminine and you're like, okay, this is really difficult, you know, I've been masculine before, I've been a male before, which I haven't, from any of them, because this is brand new everything. I've been female. So when you have those other things, part of ENYELAH system is always to live for yourself, by yourself, because of yourself, for the reason of yourself, for the purpose of yourself, in wholeness, wellness, wealth. Done beautifully. So if you chose to be a gender, that's the body that you work with. These are the parameters that you work with in this specific lifetime, and you work with it. You have to. That's just the way it is. You want power, you work with it. You don't want power, you want to be someone who is broken, then you can do that at your very core. And that's the same thing with race. If you identify yourself as race and not as soul, then you break your power, because you can no longer open up yourself to all your power, because you're not solidifying yourself based upon your soul. You're solidifying it based on how you came through. It's kind of like, you know, a laser goes through a prism beam, and you measure yourself as the purple color. That's how I define myself. Not by the laser, not by the prism, not by the entire rainbow that comes through, but the one. Just the one. Why wouldn't you at least look at the prism and say, okay, I'm a prism? Better if you identify yourself as the laser that goes through the prism, right? You source yourself at the deepest power, and then everything can come through there. But if you put yourself at one of the smallest amounts of power, and you're like, that's what I know myself as, you literally get rid of all the rest of the colors in the rainbow. You don't even recognize your prism, and you don't even recognize the laser beam that comes through that. It's the same thing with your soul. So if you are a power builder, you have to recognize who you are and accept that in order to receive everything coming through. If you want to receive like much out of like all of this, then you won't be attracted to ENYELAH system, because I will make you feel the rest of this presence when you're only accepting this amount. I'm going to make you remind you of this just by me being here. To have a brand, a corporation that allows you to be all of the power that you are, is to be in an ENYELAH system. It means that nobody is telling your corporation what it can and cannot do, except in ENYELAH system, which is to live for yourself, by yourself, because of yourself, for the reason of yourself, for the purpose of yourself, in wholeness, wellness, wealth. Done beautifully. Very, very important. Because some of you have created corporations for things that would not uplift your own human being. Then you won't want to be here. Because it's not valid. Unless your specific human being would find great gratitude that this is here, and you can be any part of your own corporation, any aspect of it. From your customers, to the people serving your customers, the people, the accountant, the managers, you have to be all of the characters. If you can't be all of the characters and feel in your full power and full integrity, then that corporation will not live in ENYELAH system. Because that's what's going to build the world in all of itself perfectly. So that each and every person who is a part of your corporation feels the goodness of life. And that is what we're here for. We're here to feel the goodness of life, whether we are scratching the ground and putting seeds in, or we are watering it. We are meant to live life and feel that wholeness and fulfillment. There is no wholeness and fulfillment in many different types of things humans have chosen to do with their life. Those things will not be in ENYELAH system. Because it's got to uplift the brain, it's got to uplift the soul, and it's got to be done in wholeness, wellness, and wealth. So you can think and know your system can be built here as long as every human being gets to do it in wholeness. The world requires change in order for this to happen, and it's already changing within inside of each person that has already become a part of ENYELAH system because I decided so. You're probably watching this because you've recognized some of these conversations may be deep within inside of your subconscious. That is because that is part of my power, or that is part of who I am, in order for me to be someone who actually runs the actual energy in effective, integral, law upholding aspects of life. Like I said, the whole world is looking to me because of the power and the stability that I hold as an energetic being on the depth that I do. So as the pillar that I am, I require these skills and abilities to actually be a part of you. The same way that your government holds certain things there, and that's been good for you. Now in ENYELAH system, I hold a lot of these things in the human and in the energy and in the deeper energies 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 that made those energies. So if you want to see and experience power, ENYELAH system for your own personal self is where you want to start, because you want to start to own yourself outside, pull yourself outside of the countries that you've been in that have held you in a specific framework, and you want to come here and you want to learn to actually own yourself and build yourself as this being that you live for yourself, by yourself, because of yourself, for the reason of yourself, for the purpose of yourself, in wholeness, wellness, wealth. Done beautifully. So when you get this first, then you're going to start to understand how it is going to be effective to put this into your businesses, to be putting it into empires. And for my government agencies out there, you want this because it tunes you to knowing what's good for your people and what's not good for your people, because it will shake up your people and turn them all into blank and blank and blank and blank. You can't keep experimenting on your peoples. It's one country, you know exactly who you are, and you can't do it because it's gonna bust up. It's gonna do some things and you're not gonna like what's gonna come from it, because no army is gonna be able to stop that. It's already on its way. You're gonna have to do some adjustments. And if you don't do the adjustments and you don't hire me, then that's just what it is. So the more likely people who are going to hire me are countries that have understood tradition and how tradition has upheld a lot of things, but there's a lot more going on than they can even know, because that stuff's getting shaken up right now. So people like royalty in all of these countries, they will actually recognize me and they will know that I am holding things together. So you can go and have a conversation with them. If you have their phone number, well, congratulations to you. You've done something great in life. I am this being, and I am holding things together. And you can learn from me when you are 100% committed to ENYELAH system. Then you can build your systems into that and do it correctly so that human life can actually enjoy itself. This is a requirement, because incarnating into this, people need to start enjoying themselves. Wealth needs to be for a purpose, not just for a bank account. It needs to transcend time. That is how you do it within ENYELAH system, to do it well. Because I know even some of you who are at the top of your wealth brackets right now, top of the world, you know that you have been locked into something and you're not happy about it. Well, perfect. Then you can come to ENYELAH system and recreate that stuff that you enjoy to hold, and we get rid of the stuff you don't enjoy to hold, and we bring you into a place where you are now holding a certain set of frequencies within ENYELAH system as your own agency, which you know. Whoever built the specific frequency that you hold did not hold a lot of things into account, and wellness and health was not one of them. It's a key factor in ENYELAH. You must hold wellness and health in order to maintain this process. So as you incarnate into this position, because you're the decider, you will be the one to uphold it in every lifetime. So you better create it nice. Telling you, my name is ENYELAH Brown and Taylor. And there is one way to find me. It's enyelah.com. enyelah.ca/.com. Because, well, we never know who's doing what in this world. So, if you ever can't find enyelah.com, go to enyelah.ca and it will be there. It's there right now. So make sure you understand and know, to have a conversation with me, you have to purchase an exclusive key. That is an application to work together. That's up to you. Whatever we talk about in that conversation, as long as we have that level of respect and honor, we're good, according to my standards. So you'll know, because you know how to tune to people very well. I know all of you do. And then from there, we can discuss what you would like to do and what needs to happen and all of these things.